It's all happening with Russia and Ukraine again,
Again,
Guy.
yes.
These are negotiations that are taking place behind the scenes, not involving Ukraine again.
It's a novel approach, isn't it?
A novel is one way of putting it. Yeah, I'm absolutely disgusted, if I'm honest. Again, he's trying to railroad the Ukrainians into settling. I don't know whether this is supposedly a 28-point plan. I mean, it's quite a lot of...
Oh, it's gone up from Gaza then, because it was about 20, wasn't it?
Well, it was based on Gaza, so I was reading today. The basis of it is that much the same, I guess, as he did with Hamas, Ukrainians in this particular event are taking the place of Hamas in being railroaded or bullied into agreeing to this.
Yeah.
And some of all the analysts seem to suggest that it's rubbish, that it's not going to happen. And one wonders whether it's intent as being a starting point for negotiations or whether they all consider it to be the end point. The Russians have denied. Interesting, they've had this guy in Washington negotiating with Mr. Witkoff. You know, Mr. Witkoff, he of the real estate. Yeah, yes, he's the one. Yeah, he's a estate agent. Yeah. He's the one who's been brought in to negotiate these huge international deals. And he's come to an agreement with this Russian fellow whose name is evaded.
His first name was Kirill.
Kirill, that's right. Yeah,
Kirill.
yeah.
Kirill. We'll call him Kirill.
Kirill, that's the little fish, isn't it, that goes along
It's also the Archbishop.
Oh, yes.
Putin's bishop.
The Orthodox, Russian Orthodox.
That's right, with one of those big hats. But keep going.
Yeah. So we've got limited information come out in respect to the 28 points, but let's just go through a few of them. I think they're worthy of discussion, even though I don't think that Zelensky can be able to agree to them. They're talking about territorial concessions again, ceding the whole of the Donbass region, even the areas that they currently control. They'd have to hand that over to Putin. There's an interesting idea, cash for land. Have you heard that before?
No.
Now, this is quite interesting. This is, again, to do with the Donbass, and it's suggesting that it's almost like leasehold, if you like, that the Russians would give the Ukrainians a load of money to take over certain areas of the Donbass, but Ukraine would retain legal ownership of that area.
A bit like Hong Kong.
We didn't retain ownership of Hong Kong, did we?
No, it was the other way around, wasn't it? We leased it.
Oh, we leased
for about 100 years.
Yeah. But we had, absolutely. I guess. Yeah, a bit better. But 100 years' time, I suppose the Ukrainians could take that, the lease comes to an end and have another negotiation, do you think? But I've never heard that suggestion be put forward before.
Different.
Military reductions. They're talking about the armed forces of Ukraine being cut in half.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Exactly. Why would you want to do that? Why would you be forcing that on your... It's not as though Ukraine attacked Russia. It's just nuts, isn't it? Absolutely nuts. Weaponry limitations. They don't want them to have any long-range weapons. Well, there's a surprise. No more ATACMS or what's ours called? Something
Storm Shadows.
Storm Shadow, yeah. Or the French one. What's the French one called? Can you remember?
Le Bombe.
They don't want them to have any more. Now, why would that be? End of US military aid. They don't want to have any more American stuff. Neutrality. So any foreign troops would be banned from being on Ukrainian soil. So the coalition of the willing goes out the window in one fell swoop.
We might be willing, but we're not there.
We're not there, no. Culturally, they're looking to have the Russian language as a state language, which I think, that's something, to be fair, I think that's something, given that they have a large population of Russian speakers, that ought to have been available anyway, oughtn't it, really? I don't really understand why they didn't have Russian as a second language if those
well, it
areas.
Depends what it means, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we were told, right, you've got to have French now as your main language? You might go, oh, yeah.
Well, I don't think it was ever suggested the main language. That would be open for debate and discussion, wouldn't it? But the main language, I suppose, in certain areas, maybe. A bit like Wales here, really. I think that's the way I saw it, that, the Welsh speak Welsh in certain areas of Wales.
Yeah, they do.
And they're also looking at the Russian Orthodox Church to be granted a official status, which is fine. I can't see necessarily any problem about, in certain areas, that'd be, as popular as a fart in a lift, I think, after this particular event. Security guarantees. which is quite interesting. The Americans are talking about giving security guarantees now, apparently. Quite what they will
For a minute,
amount
I thought
to.
you meant for Russia.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't say to who.
No. What that will amount to, I don't know. I mean, it's been brought up again that, of course, all the major Western powers signed up to the Budapest Convention, which was meant to provide security guarantees to Ukraine anyway. And Witkoff, as we said, has negotiated this. What's quite telling today is that Mr. Kellogg, you remember
Oh yeah,
Keith Kellogg?
he's out of the picture, isn't he?
He was the man who was meant to be in charge of all this. He's resigned in disgust today, so he's not even in the Trump's cabinet anymore. So tells you something about how he feels about all this. Be interesting to see what he has to say on the chat shows over the next few weeks as to where this goes. So not clear yet as to what's happening. The Russian position is such that they're not saying, the Kremlin aren't saying this has happened. But clearly it has. It's been leaked, and their man has been in Washington discussing it. The Ukrainian position, they're trying to play an even hand. They're suggesting that they've been trying to get direct negotiations with Putin for months, Zelensky, so he's not ruling this out of hand. He's treating it as though it's a starting position. And I don't know where we go. I'm just not sure, because I think what Putin will effectively say, if they do adopt it, this is what's on the table, not, we're not going any further unless you accept some of these basic principles. And at which point Zelensky will say, well, I can't do that. Institutionally, you can't get it through the Ukrainian parliament. And we're back, we're sort of back to square one. And it's that point, I think, where Trump will then have to worm his way out of the negotiations altogether and say, well, I've tried, not having anything to do with it, or he'll have to take a side one way or the other. So I don't know. Where do you think he's going to go with this?
He being who?
Trump.
Well, it's such a one-sided deal that he knows Zelensky can't accept it unless they know things that we don't, unless they really are starting to suffer. I know they're looking at losing another territory. Provosk, is it Provosk? Something like that.
Yeah.
And that, their ability to raise new troops is impacted. People just don't want to sign up or do the training. And, whether really Zelensky in the end won't have much choice, I'm not sure, but it's not a great look, is it?
No.
It really does look like the West is rolling over to Mr. Putin's demands.
Yeah. To be fair, yeah.
The big suspicious thing for me is, can you halve the size of your army, please? Or why would you want? I drop the mic, as they say.
Yeah.
But why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
And the obvious answer is he'll come back for more.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Meanwhile, we've got boats circling off the Scottish coast, effectively waiting to cut our cables, apparently. It's all happening, isn't it, in Europe at the moment?
But we've sent them a stern warning, haven't we?
We have.
I say, old chap.
This is what we're going to do. But we're not going to tell you at the moment. We're going to keep you in suspenders.
But going back to Ukraine, in the meantime, there's been that dreadful missile attack, hasn't there, on a couple of blocks of flats. I think it was in Kiev. 27 people dead, 3 kids.
Yeah.
It's just revolting, isn't it? It's just murder. There's no other word for it.
He's not easing up, is he, Putin? He's just going for it now. And it's to try and terrorize the population.
Well, I would imagine it's working. Can you imagine it?
Oh, it must be dreadful. It must be dreadful. I don't know. When you look back to the Second World War over here, the plucky Brits who went through the Blitz in London.
Very, very gutsy.
There was always the argument there that it stiffened resolve, that they were more wanted to fight on more afterwards than they did before, effectively. I don't know how much of that is true or how much of it is mythology now built over a period of time. But certainly the interviews that I've seen on television with locals from Kiev, they're all the lives they've given, they're furious, and they don't really want to give up and
fair enough.
And feel as though all those lives lost have been in vain, really. The longer this goes on, and the longer it has gone on, the more positions become entrenched, don't they? Because if Putin cannot show that he's Russia has benefited from this, and he's really not taken a lot more territory than he had before all this kicked off. And if Zelensky cannot show that they've defended that territory sufficiently and stopped the Russians from doing it, then they're both in trouble, aren't they, really? So it'd be interesting to see what comes of it.
Yeah, it will. We probably should leave that there, but we'll definitely return to it at the end of these negotiations.